Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Dr. Perry. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm wondering what's happening here. I see it's almost 5 past and there's only
Yeah.
one person.
Oh, there we go. People are joining. Hi, Matthew.
So I'm just going to pause and try and see if a few more people are going to join. It turns out that I had to rush and connect or log into Google Meet from campus. There's no power at home. You just give me 5 minutes. We'll start at 17:10 and hopefully we'll have a lot more people present by then. So we'll start in the next 5 minutes.
Okay, so that's fine.
All right. Hi. So sorry for the delay. It turns out that some of my files are not synchronized yet. But as I'm synchronizing the files, I mentioned earlier that I just moved from home to campus, and the machine I'm using is just synchronizing the work I was updating, so the slides and whatnot. I just wanted to find out if people have any specific questions with regards to what we were looking at. Is it yesterday or something? And more importantly, if you've had a chance to talk about some of these things with your colleagues, very, very important. If you already have an idea as to how exactly you're going to go about creating your context diagrams, right? So the question to ask is, are you able to complement what you came up with as part of your stakeholder identification process? Are you able to complement that with what we discussed yesterday to come up with a comprehensive set of entities that you're going to include as part of your as part of your data flow level 0 diagram, right? I don't know if people have any questions, thoughts about what we did. Complaints, I suppose, I don't know. I'm almost done, by the way. It turns out that it's not a very, it's not a very difficult thing to do, right? And also what you will immediately realize is we won't really worry ourselves with the other levels of data flow diagram. So there's also level 1 and level 2, which provides more contextual information. Our focus is just to use the context diagram, which is level 0 diagram, so that we feed it into the SRS document. And our interest is to hopefully use that as an artifact we can use when interrogating the potential customers of our system, ideally, right? So, right, just 2 more minutes and then I should be done with my synchronizing, I suppose. I see a comment saying things are sinking in, which is a good thing, I suppose. I don't know. Have you started have you started requirement elicitation? And I'm concerned here because I've noticed that I've been me, especially those that are working on projects such as the makeup request, because otherwise, I mean, where are you collecting the information from, right? You know, so I'm not sure how far people have gone here, but it would be nice if you could accelerate this, right, so that you can already start. Yeah, I don't know. So that you can already start. Writing the software, I guess. I don't know. This is a bit weird here, but listen, I won't finish this synchronizing. It doesn't look like it's going to finish, so I'll just download the slides and then I'll share what I have right now. It should be sufficient. I do apologize. It's going to be a bit haphazard. So we continue off our discussion from yesterday. I don't know if you can see my screen. I don't know if my microphone is audible enough. I'm not using my setup from home, my very nice setup from home. So I'm using some, I don't know, some very funny Chinese-made earphone. Not sure if my voice is audible enough. Clean, and it's pretty good, to be honest. I mean, we realize that your so-called context diagram is just made up of 3 key aspects, right? So you have the system, which is represented as a circle, right, with the name of the system inside the circle, like so. And then you have entities, right? So these would be things that are potentially going to interact with the system by way of providing input or benefiting from the output coming from the system, right? Then finally, we have what we call these directed arrows that specify exactly which direction data is flowing to or data is flowing from. And usually data flows into the system or out of the system. So into the system from entities, out of the system to entities, right, from the system. So we go to a stage where we're supposed to look at how you get to do this with Lucidchart. It turns out that, can you hear me, by the way? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Your voice is audible and your screen is visible.
Okay, thank you. It'd be nice if you could say something. Okay, so here's something to help you get started, right? So I highly recommend that you use Lucidchart. Of course, you're more than welcome to use a tool like draw.io. If you've if you have access to Microsoft Visio, it allows you to draw these artifacts as well, right? So there's a number of tools out there, but the showcases I have in my slides are mostly biased towards either Dia or Lucidchart. I highly recommend Lucidchart. Why? Because you're collaborating with other people that are not co-located with you. So you want to work in the cloud, right? This is why I'm recommending Lucidchart. Otherwise, you end up with a situation where you have your Dia, right? And then you draw a diagram, you send it to 4 of your colleagues, you tell them, can you modify this, please, right? They modify this, they will send it out to you, you modify it again, which is, it's a bit tedious, but when you're using Lucidchart, you can collaboratively edit the document together using your own assigned email addresses, right? It's an educational account. I highly recommend you do that. Great. So on with it. So in Lucidchart, it turns out that it's very, very easy for you to create a context diagram. There's 2 ways of doing this. You can start with a blank slate where you create a blank document, right? Alternatively, what you can do is you can take advantage of the many templates that exist, right? So you choose the option. Normally, this new button here will give you an option to create a new document or to create a document from a template. You can also import, right? So if Lighton does share some of the artifacts he has here, so if, for instance, Lighton shares this with you, which I will, by the way, what you can do is you can download it from Moodle and then import it from within Lucidchart. Once you import it, you then start editing this so that it reflects what sort of system you're implementing, right? And maybe you should remind me if I forget to do this. I'll showcase exactly how we go about importing something, right? But so we start off with the blank document. You click on blank document, and this is what you end up with. The thing is that Lucidchart is used to come up with different sort of artifacts, right? Different types of shapes. So what you want to do is you want to specify the shape that you want to draw, right? By default, this is a screen that you have access to, and you notice that it doesn't have any shapes that speak to anything that is remotely related to, what are we calling these? Context diagrams, right? If you look at this part here, this is where your shapes are going to be here, right? Now, because when you start off the first time, it won't be here, right? But once you create it, the next time you open it, you'll find the shapes that you're using frequently. So because it's not here, what you do is you click the shape button here, the one that's highlighted. And then once you click the shape button, it will bring up this pop-up box here, which gives you an option to select the desired shape. Now, if you look at the left panel of the pop-up box here, you realize that you have a number of shapes that you have access to here. Yeah. Which this is a very powerful tool, and by the way, you should familiarize yourself with this, because beyond what we're doing right now, you notice that you can create mockups, right? Mockup screens if you're creating a mobile application, for instance, right? But that's besides the point anyway. I'm curious, what sort of pop-up is this like now? I'm very curious myself. So blank, oh, not blank, blank document. I'm curious to look at the mockup, the Android mockup, the way it looks like. Don't know. Pause for a little while. I'm just curious, right? In fact, what you're doing is just showcasing exactly how you'd go about doing this. So this is what I'm talking about. You click on shapes, and then this thing will pop up. Let's see what Android mockups. Okay, I guess it's a mockup screen, right? So a UI or something, and then you have these widgets that you include here. Okay, good stuff. So this pop-up window here will enable you to specify what sort of diagram or shape you want to work with. Now, for context diagrams, obviously, what you're creating is a data flow diagram, right? So you check data flow, and then you notice that the shape will appear on the left panel here. So this part here that's highlighted in red, right? Previously not there, but it's there now because we've selected data flow, right? And in fact, you also have this context window, which provides you with a brief explanation of what sort of diagram you're working with, right? So it says here that data flow diagrams will help you document the logical flow of information through a step-by-step process, right? Okay. So that's the approach where you get to create a context diagram from a blank document, right? But in the event that you want to create your context diagram using a template, all you do is once you click the new button, instead of selecting blank document, you will select document from template. I don't know if I'm recording this session, but I don't know. Okay, document from template, right? And then once you click that button, what you have access to is a whole slew of templates. Again, because Lucidchart is used to create so many different types of diagrams, you have access to countless templates, right? There's different ways of narrowing down to a specific template that you're interested in. What I do recommend you do is you take advantage of this search button, top left corner, right? Where you'll be able to type in context diagram or something, and then you have these results that will come up. So these most of them would actually be a match to context diagrams. There's a caveat though. What you want to do is, because there are different types of context diagrams, depending on the level of the data flow diagram you're modeling, you want to make sure that the template that you are selecting is a level 0 data flow diagram, right? So when you search for context, and then once these results come up, make sure that you select the template that corresponds to a level 0 context diagram, right? Something else you can do if you don't want to search is you can drill down to these different categories. If you know exactly where the model you're wanting to come up with is clustered, right? Which one of these sections it's associated with. For context diagrams, I do believe it could be system diagrams or something. Let's try and check. So what we're saying is you come here, new, I'll say template, and then I'll maybe system diagram or something. And then you come down, hopefully you should be able to find a context diagram somewhere here. Use cases, class diagrams, deployment diagrams, sequence diagrams here. And it appears it's not here. Maybe it's under something else. Let's check. So new template. Let's check. Maybe it's under flowcharts. I don't know. Anyway, search is your friend. So you search, I don't know where exactly this is associated with, right? Which part it's associated with. It's a context diagram. Garbage. Anyway, it's a bit sad that can't find where this thing is. But anyways, as besides the point, use search, right? Search is good. So you search, and then you have access to these diagrams. Choose choose your level 0 diagram. And don't worry, there'll be another walkthrough just now. This is just screenshots of what you're supposed to go through. They'll be helpful once you download these slides. Right. So depending on whether you you decide to use the blank a blank document or a template, what you will have access to once you select the diagram is this shape here, right? So you notice that this stencil has these different entities that you get to use, right? And most of these things here, I'm guessing you've noticed, are familiar. So there's there's this diagram that you use to represent your system, right? Then there are these diagrams here that you use to represent the entities, right? And then finally the arrows, so the directed flow of data, whether it's out of the system or into the system, is just done using the line that is a part of the standard shape. So it's not part of your data flow shapes here. You notice there's nothing here that will enable you to draw these lines. So you need to use the standard component here, the standard widget here that's on top here. It comes up by default, actually. So ideally, the goal is for you to come up with something like this, right? Very, very easy. It's nothing to it, right? Just to showcase what I was talking about, you would log into Lucidchart, right? So I'm just going to do a simple walkthrough. So you go to lucidchart.com. You log into lucidchart.com using your UNZA assigned email address. I do highly recommend you do that. And then once you log in, so Lighton is logged on right now, you click on the new button. Let's say we want to start on blank document. We click on blank document to take a few seconds for this thing to load, right? Depending on your connectivity. And then once it loads, you include the shape that you want to work with. Because we are creating a context diagram, it's not here by default, right? We only have these default shapes here. You click on shapes, and then once you click on shapes, you search for context or data flow or something, right? Because you're looking for context, you're looking for a data flow diagram. You can search for data flow, or you can just scroll down and find a part that points or that has the text associated with data flow. So in this case, you notice these are arranged in alphabetical order, by the way. So you tick data flow, right? Once you tick data flow, it will appear on your left panel. And then you say use selected shape, and then it will come up here. And this is where when you start creating your data flow diagram, right? So you start by you just drag these shapes here. So in this case, the system, right? System name, let's say this is a makeup. I don't know what these guys are calling it, makeup requester system, right? And then you specify the entities, right? Which are represented by processes. Entities, right? Not the process, but an entity. It turns out that some of these things that you have here, like the data sources, the data stores here, these are applicable for different levels of data flow diagrams. For the purposes of the level 0 data flow diagram that we're interested in, there are only 3 things you're going to use: external entities, the system itself, and the direction of information or data, either into and out of the system, right? So you have your system here, and then you have your entities, right? Your external entities. So maybe the people that are developing the makeup request, are they in the house? What entities do we have? The makeup requester platform. What entities do we have? They're not here, right? Okay, that's fine, I guess. Lewis, Lewis and is this just, oh my God, I didn't know it was just 6 people in the house. Okay, Lewis, what entities do we have for your platform, your system? No answer. Kalima, what entities do you have associated with your system? I can see you're there, but you don't want to answer. Okay. Victor, what entities do you have for your system? Why are you not answering this? Miss Tolle, what entities do you have for your system? And I don't know what that means, right? The silence on not answering questions. I don't know. So okay. So Lewis says student. Okay. So what's the name of your system, Lewis? Again, tell us. So students. Unza Ikta. I don't know what Unza Ikta means here, but I don't know what row is it. Unza Ikta, whatever. Anyway. What is the name of your system, Lewis? Event sharing. Okay. I don't know what, I don't know if that's a name, but the reason I'm asking the name of your system is we said that when you're naming this thing, it has to end with system. So if Lewis project is event sharing system, then they would come here and say event sharing system, right? And then what they're saying here is they're saying they have a student as an entity, and apparently they have Unzaikta as well as an entity, right? Whatever that means here. I wonder what Unzaikta as an entity, right? This is an interesting thing here. What Lewis just showed us, right, is something we spoke about yesterday, where we said that an entity could be an organization or a unit within an organization. So I don't know if Lewis here is saying the whole lot of Unzaikta would be viewed as being an entity, and that's fine, I guess. I don't know. Maybe this would be further simplified to represent a specific role within Unzaikta or something. But you want to be more specific, like for student, for instance, you want to say ICT B, ICT B, ICT with education student or something, right? So that you're more specific. A student could be anything. Maybe it's a student from VET or something, right? So you come up with this, and then that's it, right? Hopefully you've gotten to a stage where you've identified, and by the way, you can format these things just like we would format these in Microsoft Word. You can make them bold so that when you import them into your document, they're visually appealing. You can increase the font size, right? Top here, this is a very familiar thing here, menu items here, and the toolbar here. I can change the font, 12 point, right? So that it matches your document, I guess, I don't know. You can also change the font family that you're using, right? I like Liberation Serif myself, so that it's consistent with whatever document you're creating, right? Right. So once you do this, what you want to do is you want to specify the flow of data. So maybe one way in which flow of data can be identified between BICT student and the event sharing system that these guys are implementing is by saying there's going to be flow of data, and arranging these things, I mean, is pretty trivial, really. It's not that hard. Flow of data to the system is going to be such that you have information flowing from the student, input being provided by the student to the event sharing system when a student is checking for an event, right? Available event. And then maybe the system will respond with, I don't know, with some sort of response or something, I don't know. Let's, oh, come on. So I'm using a horrible mouse here. All right. Okay. So here we go, right? So this is what we have, and maybe we can stretch it further here so that it's. I wanted to stretch it further so that these arrows are slightly. I don't like how they appear, or how they're appearing here, but. Anyway, so you model the flow of data, and then you obviously provide details of what sort of data is being directed towards the system. So for the Unzaikta people, because they're dealing with events, we know that one of the things they would be doing here is the data flow is student would check for events, right? Check for events, right? So the flow of data here is like a checking for an event or something. And you can format this in such a way that maybe the thing doesn't cover the whole lot of or significant amount of space, right? You know how to do these things. So check for events, and then the system will probably respond with, and by the way, I'm just dragging these things here. The system will probably respond with available events, right? So you notice that when you show somebody this, right, a stakeholder, could be your clients, the people you're developing this software for, they'll be able to not say, oh, the system you are developing is actually, one of the things it's going to do is it's going to enable a student interrogate the system so that they check for an event, and then the system will respond with the list of available events, and perhaps corresponding details, right, of the events themselves. Now, in terms of Unza ICTA, maybe what you would do is a situation where, or what you would do is you have, oh wow, this is interesting. What you would have is a situation where, boom, a situation where maybe someone from Unza ICTA will create an event. Do you understand this? Create event, not event, right? So you create your event, and then you'd have created, and now granted, this is just a superficial, it's just, we're just showcasing very basic, it's not by all means comprehensive. I'm sure there's probably more entities that these guys will need to identify. Perhaps they will have to, perhaps there's more information or more data that is supposed to flow into the system. And this is an important point I want to put across. It's not like the maximum directed flow is 2, right? So input and output. You can actually have, you can have additional arrows signifying the flow of data if there is more data that is flowing to the system other than checking for an event. Not event. Is this making sense? Event. Oh no. So you can have more things here, right? So in terms of the if you want to use the template approach, what you do is same process. You click on new, and then you go to document from template. Once you click on document from template, you obviously have access to context diagram somewhere. You can come here and search for context or data flow diagram. So I'll search for context diagram, and notice that there's different diagrams. You want to hover over this so that you see which sort of data flow diagram you are interested in, and you want a level 0 diagram like what you're seeing here, right? Another search term you can punch in is just data flow, I guess, and it should be able to bring up things like context diagrams here. But what you want to choose from the template is a level 0 context diagram. This is a level 1. Avoid level 1. Go for something like level 2 here, right? So if I click on this, you notice that it brings up this pop-up window to show me exactly how my diagram is going to look like. I'll just click on open template, and then boom, I have access to this thing, right? It comes up here, and you notice that if you use the template, you don't have to create things from scratch like what I was doing here. In fact, you have most of the templates will have they'll be color coded, so it's already visually appealing. You don't have to work on the aesthetics, right? All you have to do is just edit it out in such a way that it represents what event sharing system. It represents what you want to model. So you get the template, and then you just double click into here so that you change this to what you want it to be. So in this case, it's event sharing system, right? And of course, you can do all the good things like increase the font size so that this is more legible. And then we see that we have 2 entities, right? Student, which we said should be ICT education student as an entity. And then we have Unza ICTA here, right? As an entity as well. Of course, you can increase the font size here as well. All the good stuff, you can make it bold if you want to. Nobody cares if you think this is better. And then you also edit out the flow of data. So if you only have data flowing from an entity into the system, just one directed arrow, then all you do is you just delete these things here. It's not that hard, right? And then here you just say, this is, what is this? This is create event, right? Create event. And then you notice that we only have two directed lines here, so we delete one of them, maintain two. So we'll say check for events, and then the response would be list available events, right? It's not that hard. And then once you're done with this, obviously, of course, you can do all the good things like increase the font sizes or make them bold if you want to, so that they're more legible. Once you're done with this, though, the next step is you can import it into your diagram. Now this is where what was recommended to you becomes extremely important, right? If you remember, you were advised to use Google Docs for your document. So if I can get to, let's say, my SRS document, and I want to import the diagram, the context diagram that I've just created, I'll go to my Google Drive. Okay, I'll go to my Google Drive and then maybe create template or something. Open the SRS template for, I don't know if this is the one, but I don't know. I don't know if that's the one though. I'm looking for the Smart Deposit SRS template, and I can't seem to find it. But that's fine. It's neither. Oh, there we go. I think this is the one. Oh, this is. Oh, it is the one actually. So I would go down to the part where I need to include the SRS, the context diagram. And remember, the context diagram is a part of section 2.1, right? So somewhere in section 2.1, what you would do is do what Lighton is doing right now, where you just say you're going to insert the document here. Inserting a document from Lucidchart to Google Docs is pretty trivial. What you want to do is you want to install an add-on, a Google Docs add-on called Lucidcharts. I already installed it myself. And then once you install it, it will enable you to import a document. So observe, you won't see it if you haven't installed it. Just go to, when you're in Google Docs, just go to add-ons and then click on get add-ons. Once you click on get add-ons, search for Lucidchart. Yeah. Oh my God. So you search in this search apps, you search for Lucidchart, and then you install this thing. Guys, look at this. This is how popular this add-on is, right? 10 million downloads. How cool is that? I think it's cool. I don't know if you think it's cool. Once you install it, you have access to the add-on. So you click on add-ons and then you go to Lucid Diagrams and then you say insert diagram. Once you click on insert diagram, if you're not yet logged on to Lucidchart, what the Lucidchart plugin will request you do is, Jesus, I love the diagram, but I don't want to click yes now. If you haven't logged on yet, it will ask you to log into Lucidchart. And then once you log in, you'll be able to see this panel here on the right. And on the folders, you click on My Diagrams. Or if you have shared folders with your groups, your colleagues, it will be under Shared Diagram. So I'll go to My Diagram and observe that I have access to all these wonderful diagrams that I've been creating. And I can sort them by last modified. And you notice that I have these two diagrams that I was creating. So I'll just double click on this, and then I will tell Lucidchart, the Lucidchart add-on or plugin, to say I want to insert this. You can insert this or you can edit it out. I would advise you just go to insert. Once you insert it into your diagram, obviously it's going to pop up, right? And then you can edit it out now so that you remove the stray aspects of the diagram. So like, for instance, I don't need this text on top here, which has my name and the date when I created this. So what I can do is I can crop this, right? I'll crop this using Google Docs, and then I'll just say, this is the part I'm interested in. And then boom, right? I have access to my context diagram, and then I can do fancy things like add captions to this thing, right? The usual stuff when you're creating a document such as this, right? So I'll just say captionize this, and then I'll say create. All right, create this figure. So this is I'll call this event sharing system context diagram or something like that, right? And so it's not that hard, and then you're done, right? And it turns out that this process applies to use case diagrams as well. And it appears we'll continue this conversation use case diagrams tomorrow. So once we get to the stage where we discuss use case diagrams, once you create your use case diagram, you can also import it, yeah? You insert it, like I have done right now, like I'm doing right now, and then you obviously work on the aesthetics so that it's more visually appealing, crop it out, wow, crop it out, and then you include a caption or something. Is this making sense? I do hope it's making sense to me anyway. I don't know if it's making sense to you, but then I don't know. I don't think I applied though, but maybe I do. I think it's making sense, seeing as I'm listening to myself. Is this fine? SIRD system use case diagram. All right. Any questions about how you go about creating these diagrams? My advice to you is quickly do this. There's not going to be an assignment where we say the next assignment is going to be the final version of the SRS document that has all these artifacts. So if I were you, as we are walking through these different models, these diagrams, between now and the next time we meet, interact with your group, create the artifact, insert it into the document. Do you understand this?
Yes, do understand.
Yeah, class rep understands. Okay. So if there are no questions, then I mean, I'm looking at the time here. I'll see you tomorrow. We have class tomorrow, right? Hey.
Saturday, sir.
Oh, yes, Saturday.
Oh.
I'm sorry that I didn't. We have makeup. We lost time here. I'm sorry that I didn't schedule this. We have class at 16. I'm scheduling it right now. We have class at 16 tomorrow. Where we transition into use cases. Want to look at use case diagrams, how to model use cases, and how to come up with use case descriptions. Right? It's going to be really fun. So those tables that we've been looking at in theory. I don't know if you find this fun. I find it fun myself. But make sure you attend, because those things have to be fed into the SRS document as well. So we have class tomorrow at 16 hours. Let me just, and I'll make sure tomorrow I'm not going anywhere. Yes, sir.
I think I have a question. I don't know if it's a question or maybe I just want to get something straight here. Maybe I'd like emailed you or something. I don't know if you saw the message or maybe not. I don't know.
No, I haven't checked my mails yet. But what you can ask the question right now, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Class is at 16 hours tomorrow, by the way.
Okay. I wanted to find out if the process of gathering the requirements is already started, or we're still waiting for it.
It started a long time ago. You should have started. Are you waiting for me to put up? We have class tomorrow at 16. And on Sunday as well. I make sure I'm not going anywhere on Sunday. We've lost time, right? Sunday, 16, 17 as well. So it has started. You should have already started here, right?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, I sent you an email. So we were waiting for a response so that we get to you, because we don't have probably the information for the tutors and some mailing list for the 11th students or something. So
I'll respond to your question. See, I haven't read this, Victor, right?
Right.
I guess I can do this. Good morning, sir. Hope you are doing well. Oh, good morning, sir. Exclamation mark. Hope you're doing well. Well, comma. We as a team. Okay, I'll respond to this. I'll put it unread. I'll respond to this.
Okay, great.
Are there any other questions? I'm more interested in whether you guys understand what you're going to do with Lucid Chat. Do it tonight. You're not going anywhere, right? What are you doing tonight? Do it tonight as a group. Sorry?
I have a question.
Okay.
Looking at, we don't have enough time left to rewrite our exams. So when are you going to set a revision day or week? Because most of my colleagues, I'm sure they don't.
Revision for what?
Whatever we've been learning.
What do you mean? What do you want to revise? Oh, okay. Thank you. Wonderful question. Wonderful question, Alice. Revision session, because the session dates tell us, the ones have told us that last day of exams is when? Let's look at this. We do have enough time. We have about a month, right? Which is enough time for us to write the code. Hopefully you have started writing the code here. We have enough time to write the code and to do the final presentations. So revised calendar, right? Last day of class is last day of class is, according to this thing here, if you notice, the study break begins on the 9th of November, right? So last day of class, as far as I'm concerned, is the 6th of November. We still have a month and a few days before then. Revision session, wonderful question. Revision session is, revision session is Alice, is here. Log into, all these sessions are recorded. Revision is through the recordings. I don't know what sort of revision you wanted. You can easily play back the things, right?
So we're going to revise on our own. We're going to revise on our own. Like we just play the recording.
What's your idea of revision, by the way? You mean a recap of the course, something?
Yes, like you helping us, especially knowing that you'll be part of a post setting the exam. At least help us on, I don't know, but with your help, not just listening to the recording.
But the way I normally teach is towards the end we always have an epilogue class where we have a walkthrough, right? A walkthrough of what has been done and what you should expect in the exam. That to me would be like a revision session, but also during the study break, what I will do, and we've done this in other courses, under ID, for instance, the time when you have that study session, there will be days when Lighton will be available online, right? So it will be in this room, for instance, not in the room as in physically, but he'll be online, right? And then you pop in and then you ask a question if you have any specific question. And then it will be like a query session kind of. So we will have a review of what has been done in the course. And the review, because we have class on Fridays, the review is going to be, it's likely going to be on the last day of class, which is the 6th of November. So we will do that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. See you tomorrow at 16 hours. Bye-bye.
Hey, why has Papa gone now?